Hey, I'm here. Yeah, let's see what's going on. Give it a few minutes. A little, what's your money's worth to you video. Got my refreshment. Sorry, I need a haircut. Kind of need to make it to the barber one of these days. A little long, goofy looking. I took an afternoon shower because I forgot to take one this morning. By the way, these are like reading glasses, folks, so I can see things close up. So I guess I don't need to wear them right now. I hate them. I have an old eyes. I can't see things close. Someone give me a comment. It is Monday. Let me know if you can hear my audio or not. I appreciate it. Thank you, William, on YouTube. Hey, William, can you hear my audio? Give me a chat notification if everything's working on that end. I think it's working. It should be. I don't know. I can go between the two thingies here. Let's see. Yo. Oh, audio's good. Thank you, Smith Wells. All right, I got it. I appreciate it. Hey, Charles Bird. Talked to Charles last night for a little bit. I get this whole part thing, man, really wears me out. Every day's a little bit better, but we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about what your money's worth. And I debated doing this video. I'm still kind of troubled with it, but anyway, I'm gonna do it anyway. It's live feed. Screw it. I don't really care. I'm a disabled individual, so I'm a protected class. If you say anything, you're discriminatory, bigot, racist. I think. I don't know. Let's see. What is going on, guys? Seen a lot of videos with Jason's doing some really good work on the Lazarus valve and the Fat Rat. And Richard Rolfson is doing some testing, which is cool. And I think it's all really awesome. Some cool new products out there. Docfire Paintball is going to open back up, folks. I'm not closed forever. I'm just taking a little break because I just beat up. But hopefully here, are we in November yet? No, we're in September. God, man, my brain is screwed up. Like all of October's been a blur. Let's see. Let's go back to the YouTube thing. Let's see who else is out here. I've got William Panic, RB, and chance going back to the mech. Yeah, RB, I will go back to the mech quest. It got put on a kind of a side hold because of the Fire series. Thanks for the audio heads up, guys. Hello from the submariner capital of the world. Oh, okay. Oh, cool. Very cool. Gordon, Connecticut. That's where, what was it, Dylan? Didn't he, he's a submariner guy. He was stationed over there, I think, at one time. Long time ago. Back in the custom cocker days. Remember. Anyway. Very, very cool. So I try to do it at 4 because, you never know. But what are we going to do today? What are we going to do today? Let's just do a little fade in out. Oh, we're going to work on something like that. I have to be careful on what goes on YouTube because they're weird about things with frames and live feed. So I guess be really careful. So, so some things may be kind of partially off camera. But I got this. I got this Autococker STON today. I bought it on Facebook. Got a good price on it. I like STOs. One of my favorite, probably Autocockers, war games Autocockers is essentially. Let's just cut to. I put my hand over there. It's got a, it's got a. This is just to protect me on YouTube. It's this style right here. The STO sticker. I've always liked this. This may have the most features. It's 2K spec. Threaded. You can put a clamping feed neck on this. All the parts are really good. Outside of being, chrome. That's where chrome doesn't get you home. I got this in. This gun has been fully teched, and but I didn't buy it because I wanted a tech gun. I bought it because I do a conversion to them. I'll put shock tech stuff on it, and I'll take the chrome stuff off and save it for customers that really want chrome. And we'll make it kind of a cool shock tech version of those with new parts. And we'll put it back on for sale. Or I'll keep it, I don't know. And I like blue. Blue's a nice color. Let me see. Let's go between the two here. Let's see, what do we have? What else is here? We're definitely in the... No, we're not in November, are we? And now you're really screwing with me. We are in November. Oh, Turkey Day. Oh, man, October, November. Oh, crap. I can't wait for Turkey Day. I had to go buy turkey. That's my favorite holiday of the year is Thanksgiving. I love turkey dinner. Man. Yeah, I'm telling you, the drugs they give you for surgery, it takes a long time to wear off. I was chasing rats around the house with my eyes, watching stuff. It was really creepy. So you lose track of time. It's just wicked. But yeah, September is before October, and yeah, brain fog some days. But anyway, all right. So let's do one thing. We're going to take off the frame real quick. So I put it up like this. You can't see it. We'll just take, because that's going to come off anyway. And so this is a gun that went in, had some work done, had a full service, and I got it. Now, to be honest, I had a full service about 11 months ago. Okay? Why does it not want to come out that easy? And I'm gonna take off the... So, to be fair, it's hard to say what the customer did to it after it got back. But if the customer sent it in for service, they didn't probably take it apart to adjust to rebuild anything. It's a nice CP on off. So I am going to kind of look in and put this off to the side. So now I'm not worried about it. And so I already disassembled one thing on it. And I'm always curious when someone says full service. Hey, Elliot. A rich tofu turkey for dinner. Rich is our token vegan. He loves a tofu turkey. Alright, I'm kind of going... Sorry if I pause off. I'm looking at the comments. I go between YouTube and Facebook on that. So I already took the RAM off because I want to see what people are doing out there for rebuilds. And when they say fully rebuilt, I want to see what is fully rebuilt. So let's go take this RAM apart. And so the title of this video is, what's your money's worth? You know, how do you value your money? And I'm always concerned about that. Now, everyone knows on War Games, RAMs, and most of the older RAMs outside of Bell Cells, the older stuff, they were all glued together with Loctite. And so you have to heat them up. So you need some sort of a tool, some place to clamp the barrel in and not damage it. Heat this up, and then break the Loctite free. And War Games, this vintage, you would find red Loctite in here. And there isn't red Loctite. There's no more red Loctite. So the last tech definitely got into here. I replaced definitely the black. This should have been a urethane, usually like a clear or a light green color, and it would have been shot. Okay, and then I look at a little closer. I need to put some more light in here. And it has new bumpers on it. You know how I know? Because of the bumpers I make. So that's good. That I've always wanted. I will praise a tech that is, when you have these glue together rams, even if these urethanes feel fine, you should replace them. And either go cut them yourself, go buy a little punch and take the time and cut them yourself, and then drill a little hole in the like drill the hole first, a small hole first, then kind of center the punch and punch them out. You can do that way. You can buy them from me. I laser cut them. These are my laser cut ones, which is great. So good job. I am commending the tech on that. Now I'm not here to bash folks. I'm just here to make sure to see what the quality was. Now the other O-ring is the one that's in here. And I will destroy this one, getting it out somewhat. So if it looks mangled, then it's because of me. And I'm pretty sure that, yep, this one was replaced also. Yep, that's good. So big positive on the tech that did the work on this, on the RAM. So we know the RAM, customer's getting RAM back that is rebuilt, and it was Loctite back together. The cocking rod was Loctite at the back block, which I like, and then it was well Loctite. I had to use heat to get it apart. Excellent job. Let's take the rag off. They did the obligatory O-ring right here to, when they put it on, they can kind of squish it down. It looks like it's got a new O-ring on this. Yep, O-ring there. That's good. Let's check the O-ring in here. These are number 10s. Get a little flat blade screwdriver, pull that off. See if they replaced the O-ring in here. No. Definitely not replaced. I'm going to put that back in there. Wasn't leaking. I replace them, but because it's inevitably it's going to leak. You're going to clip the thing. Let's go and take off this fitting. I'm going to bring this up in the camera, have you guys get a closer look. There's some Teflon tape on there. So did they actually take this off? See if there's any Loctite on there. Looks like it had never been taken off, and there was Teflon tape. I always take air fittings off. Yeah, Teflon tape. So not so good. If someone's spending money on these rebuilds, take the time to pull the Teflon tape off. This mess right here. So I'm peeling off. And then you can just use Loctite to Loctite this back in place. But here's a big old pile of Teflon tape. I recommend it because what happens is you never know inside this hole how much Teflon tape made it down in there. I always tell people to do that. So let's dig into the rag a little bit more. The keeper's in there, which is good. A lot of people lose that keeper when the fly flies off. So we're going to go and pull it off. Yeah, come on, let's get it off of there. There, now it's going. I'm not going to beef who did it. Let's see, Rich. Are you shock taking everything? I have an STO body kit in the ear for all the parts to go on. I'll buy then. Yeah, I shock took everything, Rich. Because I want to put, I don't know, when I want to, oh, there we go. Put that off, almost cut my hand. And it didn't fly across the room. How much does a quality rebuild cost? Smith Wells, you know, I charge $125. Okay, that includes return shipping on mine. And with mine, what comes along with that is new hose, no matter what. I don't care if your old hose is new. I don't know who installed it. I don't know if it has pinholes in it. Whatever, new macro line. Every O-ring is replaced with, and I buy from the O-ring store. Even static O-rings, I just replace them because this stuff's old. The rag seats, if I can laser cut them, and I know the quality's there, it's included in charge. The rag bumpers, if it's bumpers that I can laser cut, which is all of them, they get replaced free of charge. That's included in the price. So every O-ring, unless the part, well, there's a caveat, unless the part is brand new. Like I get a brand new in the package, or I'm putting brand new shock tech parts on it. There's some other manufactured parts that I just inherently just replace the O-rings because it's not that they had any problem. It's like they have stuff made, and then the O-rings that the that were put in it were just weak, and they give up the ghost a little bit quicker, and you end up having the gun come back because of an O-ring kind of dying a little earlier. And I think they've since resolved those issues. That's what I do. So I'm 125. I think, you know, when you look at what your time is worth, the tools and all that stuff, and like Jason and I, we've had a lot of talks on this. You know, Texas, you end up buying a lot of tools. Like, you know, you buy like a nice gauge. This is a .04 accuracy within span. This is a 0 to 3,000 psi gauge. It's measure gauge. I have really super NIST certified transducers that are super highly accurate, and those are in the thousands of dollars. You know, you have just stuff that costs money. And you scroll back to YouTube. Oh, let's see. Honey, it's good. Are you an E patty or no? No, okay, definitely. Is the Teflon tape not needed to seal? Okay, so Sandy Toes says, is Teflon tape not needed to seal? Teflon tape is great for field use. You have a leak, you need to fix it right then. That's where I use it. When you bought these guns from War Games and everywhere else, they never use Teflon tape. They use Loctite. And I use what I use on all my air fittings, from these little tiny fittings. If I end up taking these off, I rarely do, unless one's broken, I need to pull it off. On screwing on the LPR, on the plugs, the air fittings here, is I clean these really good. I take a little brass brush and I clean all the gunk off of them, wipe them off, make sure the inside of this hole is clean, and then I put Vibratite Purple 111 is the number of the Loctite on here, screw it on, and it seals, and I can gas that rag up within moments, and it seals and it lasts, and you can take it off easily, and it works amazing. You wipe off any excess, and it's just such a clean look. Teflon tape's not bad. It's actually designed for this, but what people do is they wrap it on the wrong direction. They lap it over here. Pieces go into your rag here. They bugger. We find Teflon tape in the inside bores. So yeah, will Teflon tape work? Yes, if you apply it correctly. To me, if you're providing a service like this, you shouldn't be using Teflon tape, unless you're in the field and doing a quick field repair. And even that, I bring my Loctite with me. And 9 times out of 10, or if you have a fitting, it just will not stop leaking. Sometimes you have to use some Teflon tape. But you try to hide it, like you make sure you don't see it after it's put on, so it just looks clean. I mean, a person's paying money. Like, they have, their money is valued. Your time is valued. And so they don't want to have to send a gun back to you. And I hate when a customer, and I've had guns sent back to me because I screwed up, and I hate that. That's horrible. So, not the best thing, but you know, just something that I do. So let's see how the rag looks. Take out the. Yes, Loctite will seal it all day long. Got an O-ring on here. Rag seat is not replaced. And if you're doing these rags, if you're doing this, you need to replace the rag seats. Yep. And even a lot of times you can get away with flipping it. I say just replace it. And then give them the old rag seat. Like this one hasn't even been flipped. And I'm pretty sure this wasn't replaced, but it's could have been, but I don't think it is. Yeah. I'm going to flip it over. Pretty sure this one was never replaced. Let me look down inside here. Yeah, not replaced. So these are things that you'd want to replace. Rag seat should be replaced. Just provides performance. You know, someone was asking here on the Facebook forums, how do you get this off? A couple of Allens in here. Just the next size down. You get 1 or 3 Allens in here. Drop them in. Try to drop them in. Try to drop your Allens on your thing. Let's get the next size up. You get them in here like that, just like it. Do these work? Maybe one size bigger. Let me try this. You one in, then a small one in. I know I can figure this out. That's too big. This one, maybe these two guys, and then maybe a third. Sometimes you may need a third. You can drop 3 Allens in here, 2 or 3 Allens, and then you got to find the bind point. So you're gonna, nope, not that one. Let's do this one. I've done this so many times, but I always forget which Allens I use. Oh, it's those two right there. Okay, so I use I just didn't have it in there. I have a Bondus 5/32 and a Bondus 3/16 Allen. And I have them in there, and all I do is I just put a bind on it, and I should be able to break that open, just like that. Alright. Do no damage to that. You're not damaging the threads, you're not damaging anything here. That's how you get it open. Beard works. What is the? I started pulling all the seals, putting them in a bag, and shipping them back to the owner. Yep, I do the same. I ship them back unless if they're rotten. And I'll tell you right now, any of these rags, unless the seals have been replaced, they're all rotten. And these older rags are all starting to rot. So it's all time. There's a little top hat that comes out of that. See if I can. There we go. That comes out. And so, here we are. That has an old O-ring on it. That's the, so this was not rebuilt. O-ring feels okay, but I don't trust it. And let's look at the O-ring in here. There's a number 8 down here. Come on, get out of there. This one has been replaced. I like putting urethane on there, but not necessary. And then finally, the O-ring here. Yes, it's a static O-ring, but if it were to go bad, it's going to go bad. And I can tell you right now, this one's crunchy. You know, when you bend it and it kind of loses its shape. This is like a number 16. That should be replaced. So that's not a full rebuild, folks. So if you pay for a full rebuild and all of these O-rings aren't changed, you're not getting a full rebuild. O-rings are pennies, folks. I buy them by the thousands, and they're pennies. So that's a little disheartening, frustrating to see that. All right, so let's see. Nice STO. Yes, it is. Thanks, Mike. It's gonna be shock teched out here pretty soon. Not tonight. It's on Facebooky. All right. I'm kind of curious if this is a coarse thread or a non-coarse thread STO. Load Allens here. I need my 16th, the blue one. I'm going to take this guy out right here. Uh-oh. Almost lost that guy. That would have been a bummer. Okay. 3-way. Come on, get out. 3 O-rings look like they're replaced, which is what I would expect someone to do. Alright. Let's take the rest of these hoses off. Get the pile of parts that go in here. And we're going to get another wrench. This guy. Well, you know what I could do? I don't necessarily need to pull that off there. Let's see if I can get this guy apart. Well, it's on here. And do I have my strap wrench in there? I probably don't. One tool I didn't bring in here. Of course, bring my strap wrench. This right here. Get myself a towel right here. We're gonna see if I can get this wrapped around there and not damage my hands. Being that this is really tight to get apart, my guess is this LPR has not been touched. Oh wow, that's really hard to get apart. I'll fade over to here. You can see me grunting. And this has got a blue O-ring here. It does have a blue O-ring in here. Not replaced. It took that much effort to get it across. It probably hasn't been taken off. Now, I don't necessarily have to take this fitting off. As long as I can get this O-ring, then if I'm putting this back on, I don't need to take this off necessarily. But let's pull this O-ring. Yep, that's factory. And the fact that this did not come unscrewed here, I'm going to make some assumptions that it hasn't been touched in there either. Not a screwdriver. Yes, this means you need a rag tester to... Oh, what did Richard? Richard Rolls just messaged me. Oh, 294, 300 about 200 is just... Oh, nice. Richard's working on, I don't know if that was the Lazarus. Yes, it's got to be the Lazarus valve. He's doing a test. I'm sure he'll post to his findings. I'm not going to do that. Very nice. Let's see. So, like I said, I don't like beefing on a text, but I'm not beefing. I'm just trying to get folks to do their job because you guys pay for it. That guy comes out. I'm not worried about it. I know where all these guys go. This guy right here, I can tell you is factory, how it's in there. And I usually could dip my, yeah, could have been flipped. Person wanted to. But I just replace it because this urethane's just old. Just really old urethane. Need to be replaced. My camera's focusing. I think it's focusing. And so if I can get this top half off. Come on. I can't get that off. Let me look down the side here. Oh, okay. I know they didn't get down this LPR because guess what I'm finding in here? Go all the way down inside. Let's go pick out this. God, can I get this off? I thought I had my strap wrench in here. Hold on a sec. Let me stand up and look over here. Strap wrench. Turn the light on. Looking for the strap wrench. Here it may be. Here. Lots of screws here. Hold on a second, coming back. You know, I was going to show you guys the pressure on this regulator. I didn't do that. My bad. I'm going to take my word for it. Go over here, take my word for this gauge. The reg was set at 270 psi. Just take note of that. I'm trying to get this apart. Being that I can't get that apart and I can see down in here, I see a red O-ring. A red O-ring is factory. That orangish red color. That tells me it wasn't changed. Someone paid to have this done. Come on, get out of there. It's almost out of here. Hold on. I gotta bend my tool a little differently. Oh, I broke. Gosh darn it. You know when you bend your tip of your... Ah, there it is. There it is. This one just came out. That's urethane. And that is mushy. Should have been replaced. Like, what the hell, folks? That should have been replaced. So, if that wasn't touched, it's number 8, simple O-ring. Then this one in here hasn't been touched. One more O-ring, and then there's a static O-ring here that's never been touched. So, and this little tiny urethane, go into focus mode, may look okay, but they rot. They just age. Urethane has the age out on it. Let's see. Let's take the ball detent off. Over here. Oh, ball detent loose. Let's. Ball detent was literally finger tight. Should be Loctited in. That's something they use an O-ring on it. I don't like that. Loctite your ball detent in. So ball detent seems to be oiled. All right. So with that, I don't need to take that off. We're going to get this. So I'm not beefing at the person, but if you're going to do this, do it right. Your customers, their money has value. It's value to them. It's value to you. You know, just do it right. You know, volume is not worth. Okay, so let's go back into here. Volume's not worth not having that all done. Okay, both O-rings here, if they were factory, they would be green. They look like they've been replaced. They seem pretty supple. So the front block O-rings replaced. Let's go check the notorious Vert ASA O-ring. See if it's replaced or not. Full rebuild means something. It's like if you take your car and you get an oil change, a full oil change, or an oil change, yep. Screen O-ring, it's factory. Not changed, and it's flat. That's not a full rebuild. That's not a full oil change. That's like taking out your oil and then mixing half of that came out with fresh oil and then putting it all back in. Sorry, that's frustrating to me. And it's, you know, Cocker community is an interesting community. They've been around forever. You know, these markers, and they're a difficult marker if you don't know what you're doing. And you know, as ICPL here earlier this year, and younger guys were like, yeah, you know, Autocockers, you gotta have a mechanic that goes along with them. They're not interested in them, and because they get a stigma of poor tech work and it failing because of not complete work at times, and so that's frustrating because I think they're a phenomenal platform, and a lot of people that steer away from them are kind of missing out in a lot of ways. So, and because let's go back to here. So I don't know. I think if you're gonna do the platform justice, with the platform that you support, do it justice, do it right. The set screw on the bottom for the valve, it's not Loctited in place. I use the purple Vibrotite, so it just doesn't vibrate loose on you. This was loose in the bottom, so that doesn't work. Sorry, folks. These are all failure points. Let's take the IVG out, see if the O-ring was changed on it. Nope. So IVG has a silicon number 13 or 14, I can't remember. That has not been changed. That provides tension. Okay, here's the spring that came out. Interesting. Not a factory spring, looks a little longer. Let's unscrew the lug back. I think we're there. Nope, we're not there. A little bit more. The lug is out. Standard War Games lug has a little bit of rust on the inside here. Not cleaned up. Could have been cleaned up, but has been, you know, a few months since I had worked on it, but still factory lug on it. Look like any work was done to it. Looks all factory. Got a little bit of goobery rust on it. You can see it on my fingertips here. A little rusty, not cleaned up. Should have been cleaned up. And we need our tool, this tool right here. That's this. Why urethane? You say over Buna. So William, are you talking about on the? Oh, that's weird. Are you? Let me go through. So I see. Long time. Yeah, that's a nice estimate. Let's see. Yes, you should. We should do a drinking game. Who is that? Joseph. Yeah. So when I said why urethane over Buna? Urethane's a little bit more. Urethane's a little bit more abrasion resistant in a dynamic seal. That's why you see a lot of urethane in Rams. That's why they went that way. The problem with urethane has a rings or reg seats. Okay, I'll talk about reg seats too, but the rubber technology, I'm sure, has changed a little bit, and Buna's pretty decent. I've used both with success. Sometimes I find that urethane, especially not cast urethane is the most expensive urethane you can buy. It's almost $1 an O-ring. Then there's they call it gum urethane, which is it's not cast. It's more like how they do Buna O-rings, and it's still more expensive than Buna, but not nearly as much. What I find out with urethane, sometimes the O-rings are just like a number 10 in a Buna, a number 10 in a urethane. Yeah, the urethane's just a smidgen bigger. And sometimes I find that with wear on things, or if I have stuff that gets re-anode, I want to use urethane because I get a better seal. So you can kind of go back and forth. Let's see. I'm not an affiliate, just a fan. Please like this video. Hey, thanks, Subpar Golf. Okay. Yeah, I don't have any affiliates. But thanks, I appreciate it. And then rake seats. Most rake seats are urethane because they cast in sheets, and then they cut, or they're cast into a mold, like that round mold, like if the die, stuff like that, that they have the little hole in the middle. That's usually all cast in place. It's just a cheaper way to do it. And urethane's a pretty inexpensive product that you can utilize. And then urethane was really popular when we ran CO2 because it was a little more tolerant to CO2, a little bit more tolerant to CO2 liquids and freezing and stuff like that. So urethane kind of had some properties that made it a little bit more universal. And rag seats seem to work really good in urethane. But there's other materials that you can use on rag seats, but most of them use urethane. And that's what I do. I buy sheets of urethane to a specific durometer for cutting my rag seats and my bumpers and stuff like that. And I use a laser machine to cut it, and it cuts it really nice. It works really good. So that's that. We'll scroll back to here. Let me go over to Facebooky thing, make sure I'm missing anything. Tear resistant on the IBG. Hey John, how's it going? It's forgiving. Is a flat. Okay, I gotta read. I got Dan Bazzani in here. Let's see. I recently sent a build off to Attack. They did extra signature service. It didn't request. $210 later. Lesson learned, I guess. Huh. Yeah, I'm not gonna name anyone. You guys figure things out on your own. Let's see, what did Dan Vizzani? You guys know Dan Vizzani, he's Killshot Customs trigger plates, the Kraken, Maelstrom, some new stuff coming, like coming. Like he's working on it right now. Cool stuff. So be ready to spend your dough. Because his stuff's just stupid amazing. But yeah, so, you know, is it... Oh, that's interesting. So I went to go take this off, and I'm like, usually I got a crank on it because the jam nut for the valve should be Loctite in place. And I use blue Loctite for that, either the 542, which is oil resistant, I think, and then the blue, I don't know. I use the Vivitite, so it has another number. That's the oil resistant stuff. This definitely was not Loctited in. And the problem with that is, yes, it may survive for a while, but I have about 8 bodies that they haven't survived. And what happens is they back out, and the hammer ends up hitting that, and it beats the hell out of the threads, and pretty soon you destroy the threads in here, and now you're 11/16 bought into this gun. All right, so what? The front valve spring looks like a factory valve spring. Really super stiff. Okay. And it's interesting. Valve's got some mods on it. Bring it up into the camera. It's bored out on the inside, so don't really like that. It doesn't do anything. But it's interesting. Really stiff mainspring. The problem with that is, you bore this out too much, you start losing that little lip there. This, I don't know if that was replaced or not. These guys are cast urethane also, the Wargame stuff. Even the new old stock's starting to get brittle, and I find more and more of these cracked. And so, just a disaster waiting to happen. They did replace the O-ring on the valve, so you know they were into the valve. We know that because the valve was not Loctited in place. And where is the, oh, here it is right here. And you see factory used to use red on this. And you can see some of the old red just kind of in there. That's what they use. I use blue. And then I wash out the bottom of the body, make sure it's nice and clean, and then I take a wire brush to this and get all the rest of that gunk out of there. Because I don't want it to back out. I have a free flow body it's backed out on. So, interesting springs. Modified valve. That will go in the garbage can. And so there we go. What else? Look at screw holes. I talked to the customers about any screw holes that look like they should be helicoiled. And these are all pretty. This is a really clean body. It has some scratches on it just from normal wear and tear. It's got a unfortunate beauty mark on that side. Let's see. That O-ring was changed. Well, possibly changed. Let's see if it was or not. It's usually a colored O-ring here. Yeah, looks like it was possibly changed. It's dry, which you want this O-ring dry. And being the fact that this was able to get it off, someone put this in a vise or something and did that mark to get it off. I'm not blaming the last tech. It's probably some owner usually. You have to use a nice strap wrench on these, and you have a strap wrench that has the little metal cleats that hold that strap on. Sometimes you'll get that mark right there. But this doesn't really fit most hoppers. This is a really clean body. Like even the threads in here have very, very little anno wear on them. So very, very clean body. So, this one I'll probably, oh, and it does not have the coarse threads, it has the fine threads, so, at least I think it does. Let's get here's a shock tech. Look at that old school. Look at that old school. Let's make sure we can screw in. Come on, I know you're going to go in there. Yeah, it's got the threads that aren't the screw threads that then you can replace the. Yes, and I do have NOS of these guys. A lot of them. Okay, let's at least feedback comes off easy. Yes, Smith, it does. That means that if it was factory, usually they're on there like just glued on there. So let's scroll through. Tear resistant. Okay, let's go over to YouTube again. I'm going to try to catch up. Let's see, definitely. Let's scroll down. That makes sense, huh? I bet it runs at 200 psi. So it doesn't. Joe Vito. I got the gun. First thing I did, and you just have to. Let me go over here. I don't know why I did so. I got the gun today, and first thing I did is I went and gassed it up, and it had a weird, like it was sticking, it felt like the 3 was sticking, and I think the front block may have got cocked a little bit, so I just kind of twisted that and made sure it was nice and square, and that seemed like that cleaned it up. So, which could have happened in shipping, so I'm not gonna. The shipping was kind of, I was really expecting to have a bent ram. I'm surprised I didn't. So, but it's okay because I'm not using any of the chrome stuff anymore. Like I said, remember I used this 0.04 within the span of 0 to 3,000 psi range, and it was at 270 psi. Now, I don't know if the user bumped it up. The IVG was buried pretty far in, and when I got it, it was shooting 340 feet per second. So it's definitely making velocity. I mean, the gun was shooting fine. And not that it was shooting bad, shooting fine. It didn't leak down the barrels, so everything was sealing up. The timing seemed normal. Didn't seem there's any issues with that. Things that you would expect to be normal. And let's see, what else? Oh, and so then the IVG, when I looked at it, the IVG looked like it was buried. So that tells me that the previous owner probably didn't know how to size balls to barrels. That really sounds bad when I say it that way. It wasn't bore matching his barrel, and so probably needed to get a little higher velocity with maybe a 690 barrel and really small balls, and that even sounded bad too. But could have been that, so they dumped the IVG in a little bit. So I backed the IVG out to about 2 turns in from flush. 2.5 turns, I think. And I was shooting 285, okay, at 270 psi. So could I have dropped the regulator down? Yeah, I could have. So I know, very stiff springs, but stiff springs don't necessarily equate to high pressure either. So it could be just being over pressurized. But I mean, was it a shooting gun? Yes, shot fine. Let's see. That's it. Let me go through here real quick and scroll down. It does, but the LPR. Oh, and it cocked. The cocking. It needed pressure to cock. The other thing is, I thought I know where how many turns these are in this adjuster, and I know what it is. I know that they're all set to the same amount of turns in from factory to get you right around that 65 psi. It was buried in there. So I don't know if, well, I don't know. It looked buried. I didn't count it. That's my fault. So I didn't count it. But it seemed like it was buried in there, and it seemed like it was having a hard time cocking. So someone maybe looked at that, thought it was fine, and then didn't set it right, didn't gauge it afterwards. I like to kind of gauge it and try to get somewhere where I think, around 65 psi and having a reliable cocking. Doesn't have to be right at 65, just as long as everything cocks reliability. So, yeah. So what's your money's worth to you? You need to ask questions of whoever you send your gun to, and I don't care who you send your gun to. Send it to your favorite person if it's going to do what they want you to do. But ask questions. Make sure that they're going to do what they say. If you take your car to the mechanic and they're going to do a full service on it, and you get it back and they didn't change the oil filter. But let's say they said, hey, look, the oil filter came off and the little O-ring that was on there seemed fine, so we just left that one on. And I saved your O-ring that we sold you this part for, and I saved that because your O-ring's fine. And that's not full service. You know, you're paying for full service. Pay for it. Ask questions. Make sure. Ask what they replace. Ask about stuff like that. I'll tell customers straight up, I replace every O-ring and seal unless the part is brand new, but I do inspect them. And there's certain parts that aren't included in the 125 for me. If it's a reg seat, I can't get. If it's a straighter valve, like on on either the die LPRs or the shock deck LPRs or some of the old cap LPRs, that's a hard part that I can't laser cut, and so you'd have to pay for that if it's bad. And then some parts that you just can't get anymore and I can't remanufacture, then I said I can't warranty that portion of the gun. So if that goes bad, then it's on you to get it back to me and then pay for a new part. Usually I'll install it for free and make sure it's right. But like I provide a 1-year warranty from date of service. When they pay for the service, it's a 1-year warranty. If they want to send the gun back on the day before the warranty's up for me to look at, they can do that. They just pay for shipping both ways. I'm not going to charge them for that. And that's what I offer. Am I taking work right now? No. So it's I will be taking work in here fairly soon. I am taking work, but it's really limited basis because I just don't have a lot of energy, and I don't want to have your gun for a long time, and that's not fair to you guys because your time is valuable to me also. Let's see. Going through, yeah. Other things. Oh, let's look at this real quick. We're gonna do a little, because I like taking everything apart. The frame doesn't really have anything that needs a lot of work done to it. I do charge $1 per screw, and then I evaluate if the screw looks like this. Let's get it in focus. Come on, focus. Come on. I don't know if you, this one's kind of chewed up. And it looks like the Allen wrench is going to slip in it. It gets replaced. And as long as I have a identical screw. And I let the customer know that, $1 per screw. And I said, I challenge you to go find them for cheaper after you go to the hardware store and waste gas and all that stuff. $1 per screws, you're getting a deal. Screws aren't cheap. Frame screws are grip panel screws. I'm not too worried about, but it's looks, right? You send in, you're spending this money. You also get something that looks really good. That's grip panel. Those are nice. Didn't really fit this frame. The sear. Someone did do the adjustment on the trigger, so on these hinges there's a little screw. You can just see it right down there, and I don't remember what size Allen key. I don't have it right here. It's got a little set screw that travels then up, and then as you pull, the sear goes down, it hits that set screw and stops on it. And so this one has definitely been adjusted. And someone did a little work. I love these hinge frames. What I don't like about it is how far your hand goes down. There isn't much to tech on these. I usually make sure the safety works good. You know, it's not locked up, and after it's on, it doesn't have a little bit of movement there, but it's good. Sometimes there's a little spring right up here. Sometimes people will pull this spring, little spring, and it makes it a soccer pole. It's up to you if you want to do that. It's just it's a free option. It's a little stiffer, so sometimes a little stiffer is a little faster, and sometimes the softer just feels a little better. Oh, put this Allen key back on there. Get that back in there. All right, let's see. How many peeps do I have there? A handful there. Peeps. Oh, a lot of YouTube. I do better on YouTube than Facebook. No Phillips head screws. Yeah, I think I had a photo of what I think is the giveaway gun, and all I had were Phillips head screws for that were like the taper ones. I ran out of the other ones, and all I let me go back here. So all I had were like the Phillips head ones, and needed a photo because it was for Super Game, and they needed it for their giveaway stuff, and the screws were on order and they hadn't come in yet. And then I think I posted that photo and someone said, "Oh, I hate the Phillips head screws," and I agree with them. I do too. I mean, they work fine. They just don't look that good. Just cleaner, you know. Let's see. Yeah, right. Oh, I see what you're saying, Jake. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know. I think you know we're chasing this low pressure thing, and I've chased that dragon so much with some of the old Rudy Dean guns that I've owned, and they're not efficient. I'm sorry, folks. If people want to have some of those older guns, they're not super efficient when you get now the morph valve and the laser valve, how they're a balanced poppet, they can potentially be very efficient. But there is a tipping scale, and so if I bring a photo of this up here, this is I just bought this back. This is the number. Where is this one? This is the Fire Series. Bought it back from the original customer that rents with more times, and so I made an offer, got it back. Probably gonna go in my personal collection. This is that kind of that old weathered leather boot. It's a black and maroonish purple Fire Series. Really, really cool. It's extended reach one. Got custom trigger blade in it. Just a lot of like nice touches to it. And so I got it back, and it'll probably just stay in my collection. I like it a lot. This was actually an anno mistake. It was supposed to be that rub bronze look, and it didn't turn out that way. And I didn't want them to re-anno it because I just wanted a one anno on it. And I said someone's gonna love it, and then I got it, and I really liked the color of it. I was really disappointed it wasn't what I wanted, but then again, it turned out okay. So it all in the end worked out. So anyway, let me get back to bring and sell at Super Games. I should sell the Super Game, Daniel. So one of the things with an autococker is you have the cocking mechanism right here, and that's run by a ram. You have a regulator that operates the ram at a certain pressure. That gives you enough pressure to cock the gun and then hold it forward, right? I'm gonna dry fire. You don't dry fire shotgun guns, by the way. If you don't dry fire them with the bolt back, so that hammer doesn't slam into that script there. Just mental note. But anyway, when it's forward and you have a good paint to barrel match on a cocker, is what you want. When you fire the gun, you're going to need a little pressure to keep this back block from wanting to pull back. Okay, because you're going to lose efficiency, you're going to lose air, you lose velocity when it fires and this moves back a little bit, because you've lowered the pressure of this so much, because you've got this valve that's really running at super low pressure and a really light spring. You want this really, I can lower the pressure of all this stuff where there's a tipping point. Like you can start lowering the pressure where it's right where it's working really good, and then you lower it more, and pretty soon it starts blowing this back, and you start losing velocity because of that, or you're having issues. And so there's a tipping point on these things, and where that is, every autococker that has a low pressure valve will dictate if it's got an O-ring bolt or a non-O-ring bolt. If it's got an O-ring bolt, that O-ring bolt's going to have natural drag in it. You need a certain amount of force to pull it back anyway. So, it's one of those. It's like a bell curve, right? You get low pressure. Oh, the thing's shooting great, and now I get even lower. Now it's like, man, I'm fighting this dragon. I'm having velocity issues. I'm having consistency. I'm having efficiency issues, and it's just it's a tipping point. It's a balance, and so you look at meteor guns. They all run around that 350 psi. They run amazing, folks. They run great. Nothing wrong with them. And then we shock tech guns. The reg set at 300 psi, and you're going to get about 320 out of that gun. If you bring it down to 285 feet per second or 280 feet per second, that gun is shooting about, output pressure of that CP reg is about 225 psi. I've tested it. You can watch the videos out there on a factory gun with a good paint to barrel match. That's what it is. So it kind of boggles my mind that I've seen some people send some guns off to get a valve mod done, like a shock tech gun. And I'm thinking, the gun already runs great. I mean, but it's the person's money. They value the money. They want something different. That's cool. And it's their gun. They can do whatever they want with it. But it boggles my mind. I mean, I would spend my money in a barrel kit, a nice barrel kit. I'd spend my money on better paint, if you can. I spend my money on a nice air take system that's clean and rebuilt. So it just gets, it's a dragon you chase. Jason and I have been talking a lot. Jason Ansel, and he's been chasing that dragon. It's fun. It's fun to chase. It's like, how low can we go? What can we do? And then what are we losing? What are we gaining? Is there value in either one of those? Like I had that trilogy that I just did, and it's from the Ginny Craig Delrin hammer that Jason makes. It's running that hammer. It's running my springs, so it has a shock tech fat rat in it. It has the white spring in the front, and then it has my red spring. My red spring is not nearly as heavy as the old Madman, or whatever the stiffest I don't know if it was red or yellow. My color's a little different, I think. I don't know. It's just the colors I chose. They're not nearly as stiff. I wanted a spring kit that basically pump players could use, or mechanical autocockers could use, and they can mess with. And you have some fun tunable range. And anyway, so I have a red hammer spring, and I think the IVG was 1 turn in from flush. I can't remember, 1 or 2 turns. And I was looking for velocity on that hammer. I wanted to be able to get that hammer moving quickly, but it's a low mass moving forward. And so I needed a heavier spring to be able to do that. But it's still not that, my red spring's not even nearly close to the Wargames factory, springs. So, and it shot at 160 psi at 300 feet per second, 296 to 98 feet per second. So 300, let's just fudge it a little bit, at 160 psi with a Sidewinder rag. The low pressure experts, right? Remember that? It wouldn't do it with the CP rag. It wouldn't do it with the Ergo rag. At 160, I needed to bump the pressure. I've seen some other videos of folks doing the Lazarus valve in a trilogy and doing different combos, but I see that they are running the Inception rag. Nothing wrong. Good rag. Functions very well. Good looking rag. But that rag is more tuned to where Simon has his gun set in that 300 plus PSI ranges. He's found that's the best reliability he can get and more consistency. And that's why he does that, because he's done a lot of testing on it. And it's a little easier to deal with as a manufactured gun. And his reg is more tuned out for that. I've had, when I built my Kraken, the Killshot Customs Kraken, I built all AK lures. It's the AK full body Merlin body essentially. And I did, AK valve, an old tool AK valve, 11/16, AK lower 2 kits, springs, the whole 9 yards. And Dan Vazani's Kraken was built exactly the same. The only difference we had between the two guns was the regulator. And I wanted the Inception reg. I liked how it looked. And I had to run my Kraken at 325 psi to get 285 out of it. No matter what I did. Right? And I didn't want to change the springs, so I'm like, hey, I know that these are the exact same springs that Dan bought because I bought them and shipped them to Dan. And from AKA. And so I asked Dan, I said, are you doing anything different? He goes, well, everything is the same except I run a 2-liter. And I go, I got a 2-liter. Let me screw this on. 2-liter, I set it at like 250 psi, and I was shooting like 340 over the chrono. Exactly the same gun. I just swapped regulators, right? And then I'm like, well, okay. My 2-liter was the wrong color. It was a dust color. It wasn't gloss. So I put a sidewinder on it, and I dropped it down to 220 psi on the sidewinder, and I was shooting like 300. And I think at 285 I was around that 210, 205 psi, and that's just a regulator change. Okay, not that the inception reg, the gun performed fine at that 350, functioned fine. Just I was chasing a dragon. So anyway, food for thought. Think of your regulators when you're doing these. When you're looking at low pressure, the regulator, the ability to be able to flow a lot of volume at a low pressure will get you there. Okay, so let's see. Let's go. They say, well, low pressure never equals efficiency. As a rule, there's a lot of guns that work or worked very low pressure that always had bad efficiency. Yes, Wade, I agree with you. And now, you can't equate an Autococker Stack 2 pop-it gun to the spool guns because their flow paths are different. The ability to be able to get that pressure to behind the ball efficiently. You know, Autococker, you're making all these turns to get there, and these new spool guns, stuff like that, they're able to engineer that stuff into them where they can more efficiently use the air. So, you know, that's the advantage that they have. But how much? I don't know. I've never tested I don't know what an EMEC gets on efficiency. I have no clue. I've never tested it. I look at efficiency. I had this kind of conversation with Jason. I said, you know, I've seen these efficiency tests, and I think they're great. I think people should do them, have fun with it. Understand that everyone's test is going to be a little different, so don't take it as the you know, this is stone. Even mine will be different elevation, different gun, different springs, the whole 9 yards. So everything's going to be a little different. I look at that efficiency matters more to a tournament player, and there'll be some scenario players like, oh, I need efficiency. You know, like, okay, you're playing a scenario. Who cares if you get shot? And you walk off and you reload up and you get some water and take a piss and you fill your tank back up. Who cares? But in a tournament where you've spent money and all this time to get there and you're competing, then that may become more important to you. If you can shoot 5 more balls than your competitor because your gun hasn't run out of air, that may be the 5 balls that win the game. So to me, is the efficiency should be done at minimum at 300 feet per second. What you're shooting at, and should be shot with paint that's, you know, typical tournament grade paint, and that's tough to do. That gets really expensive to go and do that. So that you know, so asking someone to do that's tough. But trying to get as close as you can to play in a tournament to see what type of efficiency, what size tank do you use. And I can tell you this, my old rag testing back in the day, when I put a Ninja rag on a big scuba tank, that rag performed amazing. Actually, the CP rag on a big scuba tank was the fastest recharge rag and the fastest refresh rate out of all the rags I tested. But I had this big giant fuel tank that fed that rag, and as I went down to smaller bottles, I did my final testing with the 68 cubic inch tank, and I noticed that the rag didn't perform as good. It still performed amazing. They all did. They all performed very well. But that size of the tank was an issue. I know Mark Davis has done some testing on rag output pressures, tank output pressure, tank rag output pressures comparative to what the output pressure of the gun rag is, and trying to get a closer match. You know, like double the, like if your pressure is 125 psi, then getting something that's, you know, around 300 psi output. And he's done some preliminary testing. He's seen some kind of cool things come out of that. Go back over, let's see what else people are saying. So, I guess. Okay, hold on. I'm trying to click on things and it's screwing everything up. So what is special about the Sidewinder? You know, an AK, if you remember, look at the logo, their logo said we're the low pressure experts. And that was their goal, was low pressure. And they, when you first got a 2-liter, which is a phenomenal reg, by the way, it was the mystery reg in the old reg testing days from back in the day. If you ever read that chart, so all these regs and had the graph of how fast they were. Well, that was the mystery reg, was the AK 2-liter. And they were really high flow and high volume, or high flow volume, and then quick response to go right back to that regulator. So they wanted their curve to be in that lower pressure range, where that regulator had its peak performance. It's kind of like you have a pressure gauge, right, from 0 to 10,000 psi. Well, it really, its accuracy is, there's usually a span that they say between this pressure and this pressure, we can guarantee that we're within this percentage of accuracy. And not saying the reg can't go to 0, can't go to whatever. They found that they tailored the reg to kind of fit the other components that they were manufacturing. And that's why I always said, like, I was a big AKA, I'm still a big AKA fanboy, is when I would build AK guns, I had AK lower tube kits, AK bolt, AK regulator. And I knew exactly how that gun ran. ShockTech says, hey, we use CP regulators. We have this lower tube kit with this spring and this bolt. We know how to set up our guns every time. This is how it runs. Exception Designs, the same way. When he designed his reg and got his springs and all those other shiny happy things working together, it worked within his ecosystem. Now, he still has to sell it outside the ecosystem, but he can't guarantee it out there. He can't say, I don't know how well it's going to work in your system. You couldn't do it. You know, that's impossible. But the AK regs were, you know, they were the low pressure experts, and that's the self-dubbing. They dubbed themselves on that. So, I hope that answers your question. That's kind of I think the fun part of messing with this stuff. Like, you look at my video on that trilogy that's on Facebook and YouTube, and I do 2 tests in one video. You see, the first test is with a CP reg, I think it's on it, and then the next test, or maybe an Urco reg. I kind of went between all 3. Excuse me, folks. And hurts to cough, I'm telling you. And the CP, just by putting on that AK reg was a noticeable difference. So, and I've actually reached out to a couple folks that were doing some testings on that Lazarus valve, and they were using an exception reg and they were having to run a higher pressure. And I said, yeah, just try a different reg on it, see if it changes anything. Not saying that the high pressure doesn't work well. They were saying the gun shot phenomenal. Go shoot it. Have fun with it. If it works, it works. Don't get worried over how low you can go, unless you want to chase that dragon. Go chase the dragon. Buy parts. Buy more parts. Buy more spring kits. Buy this. Have fun. That's the name of the game. That's 90% of it. Let me catch up here. Hi from Kentucky. Hello. J Bravo. I got these 100% marks. Go to Facebook here. Okay, at least if it comes on. Yeah. So, how long have I been on for? Probably way too long. An hour and yeah, this is way too long. I gotta get off, guys, because I got 6 here and I got a whole bunch on Facebook. So anyway, I really appreciate you guys coming in and letting me kind of chatter, because this kind of helped me heal a little bit. And I think the key takeaway here is, whoever you send your gun to, and I'm not saying don't send it to this person or do send it to this person, make sure they do what they're going to say to do. You're paying for it. It's your money. If your money's not valued to you, then, and your gun breaks down, then yeah, that's on you. But I don't think people are like that, especially in this day and age. And then techs out there, make sure you provide a good product an honest product and do the best you can. And you know, replace this stuff, because that LPR was going to go bad. It was. So that's it. Docfire out. You guys have a great